Chapter 1 The Digital Oracle. Sarah Miller set down her pen, closing her eyes for a moment. She felt a deep, bone-weary exhaustion. A glance at the clock showed 4:30 p.m. Good. There was just enough time to get the advertisement to the newspaper office before their 5:00 deadline. She wanted it in Friday's edition. After that, well, she had no idea what would happen. It was a brilliant idea, a new and untested one. She picked up the finished copy and walked through her office door into the heart of the operation, the computer room. The room buzzed with a constant, low hum. 14 people were at their stations, their faces illuminated by the glow of monitors. Long sheets of blue paper streamed from the printers, covered in charts and symbols. The operators meticulously checked them before folding them into envelopes. Sarah smiled and offered a general hello as she crossed the room. Her company, Cyber Prophecy Inc., used computers to generate detailed horoscopes. Customers would mail in their birth date, time, and location, and the powerful machines would produce a personalized forecast. The company had been started 3 years ago by Sarah's boss, a man who called himself Zoltan Madness. That wasn't his real name, of course. His actual name was Kevin Jones, but only a few people knew that. Zoltan Madness sounded better, more mysterious and authoritative in the newspaper and magazine ads. He was a short, round man with glasses and surprisingly long hair, and he drove a black Escalade with chrome flames painted on the sides. It's great advertising, Zoltan always claimed. When Sarah had pitched her new idea, Zoltan had simply said, "All right, you can try it." On Friday morning, Sarah woke up early, eagerly waiting for the paper. It was delivered at 8:00 a.m. sharp. She rushed to the kitchen table and tore it open, her eyes scanning the pages. There it was on page 7. A small smile touched her lips. She didn't personally believe in palmistry. She thought it was utter nonsense, just like she thought astrology was nonsense. But the advertisement wasn't exactly a lie. Zoltan was a genius programmer, and their new computer program genuinely contained all the known information they could find about palmistry. A special video camera could scan photographs of hands, and the program would compare them to a database of thousands upon thousands of images and interpretations. The program had been incredibly expensive and had taken Zoltan a long time to perfect. Sarah felt a flutter of anxiety. She needed this idea to be a success. Zoltan was quick to anger and he despised losing money. She read the advertisement one last time and chuckled. Sarah Miller, palmistry consultant. It sounded ridiculous. It was Zoltan's idea, naturally. Do you want to know your future? Palmistry is the ancient science of reading the future from the lines on your hands. You can learn about your life, your future romances, and your potential for wealth. We use modern technology to give you the most accurate forecast possible. Our proprietary computer program contains information from the world's greatest fortune tellers. Are you ready to see what lies ahead? Send a clear photograph of your left hand with a check for $15 made out to Cyber Prophecy Inc. to Sarah Miller, Palmistry Consultant, Cyber Prophecy Inc., P.O. Box 75, Lake Point, IL 60611. Don't forget to write your name on the back of the photograph. The headline reveals your thoughts. The lifeline reveals your life's journey. The heartline reveals your love life. The fate line reveals your potential for success and wealth. Cyber Prophecy Inc. TM Director, Zoltan Magnus. Chapter 2 An Unsettling Truth. Sarah didn't need to worry. The idea was a success. In fact, it was more successful than the computer horoscopes had ever been. A week later, their office was buried under thousands of photographs of hands. They quickly placed the ad in more newspapers and magazines across the country. Zoltan had to buy more computers, and within a month, 30 people were working in the computer room. Zoltan bought a bright yellow sports car, plastering images of hands all over it. He drove the Escalade during the week and the sports car on weekends. He was an incredibly happy man. He gave Sarah a significant raise, but she wasn't happy. She was embarrassed by her job title. 3 months ago, palmistry consultant was funny. Now, it was just mortifying. When people asked what she did for a living, she usually just mumbled, "Oh, I work with computers." One evening, Sarah was at a party. She was talking to a woman about movies when the woman asked her name. Sarah told her. The woman's eyes widened slightly. "Are you Sarah Miller? You know, the palmistry consultant?" "Oh, yes, that's me," Sarah said. "Why, have you heard of me?" "Of course," the woman replied. "I've seen the ads everywhere. I used to be very interested in palmistry. I even used to read people's hands." "Used to be?" Sarah asked. "You're not interested anymore?" "No, not really," the woman said. "I read a lot of books on the subject. It's all nonsense." "Nonsense?" Sarah managed a small smile. "Why do you say that?" "Well," the woman began, "think about it. What does the Lifeline supposedly tell you?" "It's supposed to tell you how long you will live," she said. "Exactly," the woman said. "So, in 1914 and 1939, right before the two world wars, were there suddenly millions of people with short lifelines? Did fortune tellers notice this?" "I don't know," Sarah admitted. "I've never thought about it." "Well, think about it," the woman pressed. "Millions of people died. Surely some fortune teller would have written about seeing an epidemic of short lifelines. But they didn't. Never. I've read all the major books on the subject. No one ever mentioned it." "That's interesting," Sarah said. "But maybe they didn't want to alarm people. And that was a long time ago." "What about the Vietnam War? What about 9/11? I can give you plenty of modern examples. Fortune tellers never predict large-scale tragedies." "Fortune tellers don't usually deliver bad news," Sarah countered. "People don't want to hear it." The woman smiled a knowing smile. "You've read a lot about this, haven't you, Ms. Miller?" "Well, yes, of course," Sarah said. "We had to do extensive research before writing the computer program." "Oh, right. I forgot. You are a palmistry consultant, aren't you?" the woman said, her tone gentle but firm. "Come on, Ms. Miller. It's nonsense, and you know it's nonsense. I can see it in your eyes." Chapter 3: A Ghost in the Machine. The next day, Sarah sat in her office, the woman's words echoing in her mind. She pulled out some of the research books on palmistry and flipped through them. She couldn't find a single reference to widespread changes in lifelines before major wars or disasters. Maybe the woman was right. She stood up and went to the door of the computer room. "Lito," she called out. "Can you come into my office for a minute?" Lito was one of the senior programmers. He had worked closely with Zoltan on the palmistry program. He came in and sat down. Sarah told him about her conversation at the party. "Leo," she said, "can we run a statistical analysis of all the hand photographs we have?" Lito looked surprised. "Yes, we can do that easily. But why? What are you looking for?" "I'm not sure," Sarah confessed. "I have an idea. It might be a crazy idea, but I want to compare all the photographs. I want to see if we can find a common pattern, something about the future." "You mean like a lot of short lifelines?" "I hope not," Sarah said quietly. "But it's an interesting question, isn't it? I want you to compare different towns and cities. Compare them with each other and compare them with rural areas. I want statistics for different regions of the country. We have all this data in the computers. Why not use it? You can do that, can't you?" "Does Sultan know about this?" Lito asked. "Not yet," Sarah said. "And I probably won't tell him." "You're right not to," Lito said. "Sultan won't like it. He won't like it at all. He's frightened of the future. Did you know that? He's never let us run his own horoscope on the computer. I wanted to do it when we were testing the program, but he refused. He didn't want a photograph of his hand analyzed, either. He was afraid." They both laughed at the irony. Chapter 4: The Havenwood Anomaly. A few days later, Lilo walked into Sarah's office. He placed a box filled with printouts on her desk and sat down. "What's in there?" Sarah asked. "The computer results," Lilo said. "Well," Sarah prompted. "What did you find?" Leo looked down at his hands. Nothing, really. In most areas, we have a normal distribution of hands with long lifelines, medium lifelines, and short lifelines. We didn't learn much. You see, we don't have a big enough sample size. We'd need 1,000 or more from each specific area to do any real statistical analysis. But we've received tens of thousands of photographs, Sarah said. Yes, but that's from all over the country, Leo clarified. Wait a minute, Sarah said, catching his phrasing. You said asterisk in most areas asterisk there are long, medium, and short lifelines. You didn't say asterisk in all asterisk areas. There is one area, but it's probably just a statistical fluke, Leo said dismissively. Go on, Sarah urged. It's just one town. Havenwood, he said. Havenwood, Sarah repeated. Yes, it's a medium-sized town in the Midwest, about 130,000 people. I know it well. I used to live there. You used to live there? Sarah asked, surprised. I didn't know that. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago. I was a computer operator at the power station before I came to work for Zoltan. Anyway, there's a big nuclear power station just outside of Havenwood. I used to work there, on their computer systems. What about Havenwood's data? Sarah asked, bringing him back to the point. First, we've got nearly 2,000 photographs from Havenwood. 2,000? Isn't that a lot from one town? It is, and it's enough to do a proper statistical analysis. Look at this list. These are all towns about the same size as Havenwood. We got 22 photos from Norwich, 108 from Oxford, 93 from Bournemouth. Why did we get so many from Havenwood? I wanted to know that too, Lilo said. It's simple, actually. Zoltan's brother owns the newspaper there, the Havenwood Evening Star. He gave Zoltan a lot of free advertising and wrote several stories about our computer chemistry. So what's strange about the photographs? Leo hesitated. It sounds crazy, but more than 75% of them have short lifelines. Did that happen in any other town? Not really. All the photographs from Norwich, for example, had long lifelines. But then I checked the addresses on the back. We only had 22, but 20 of them were from the same retirement home. They were all from people over 80 years old. That's interesting, Sarah mused. You mean all these elderly people had long lifelines? Maybe it isn't nonsense. Maybe, Leo conceded. Anyway, Sarah said, how short were the lifelines in Havenwood? I broke it down by age group. Under 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and so on. The lifelines were shorter than the national average in all of them. I mean, they weren't all extremely short, were they? Were they shorter or longer than mine? Sarah asked, holding out the palm of her left hand. Lilo looked at it carefully. His expression became serious. They were about the same, he said quietly. A sudden chill went through Sarah. Don't worry, Lilo said quickly. Do you understand statistics? If you put one foot in a bucket of ice water at 0 degrees Celsius and the other foot in boiling water at 100 degrees, then statistically, you're comfortable. The average temperature is 50 degrees. What? Sarah said, not understanding. It's just statistics, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Sarah looked at him. Have you spoken to Zoltan about the printouts? She asked. No, you told me not to. Good, she said. I'll speak to him. Can you leave the results here with me? Chapter 5. The Charlatan's Confession. Zoltan was not in a good mood. On his way to work, he had a minor accident in his Escalade, rear-ending another car. That evening, he was scheduled to appear on a local television program about fortune tellers, and he was nervous about it. He was rehearsing his answers when Sarah knocked on his office door. Who is it? I'm busy. Go away. It's me, Sarah. I said, go away. I'll talk to you later. It's important, Zoltan. Sarah opened the door and stepped inside. Yes, what do you want? Zoltan snapped. Well, Zoltan, I had an idea. I'm not interested in your ideas, he grumbled. You were interested in my idea for computer chemistry, Sarah reminded him. Okay, Sit down and tell me, but make it quick. I'm very busy. Sarah told him about the woman at the party and her unsettling questions. He just laughed. Does it matter? He said. Well, yes, she replied. So I had the computer compare the photographs from different towns. We don't pay you to play games with the computer, Zoltan said, his voice rising in anger. And you're not a programmer. You couldn't have done this. Someone helped you. Who was it? Levo, Sarah admitted. But he did the work on his own time. He used my computer and my electricity, Zoltan shouted. Can I just show you what we found? Sarah asked, holding out the printouts. She showed the results to Zoltan. His face grew redder with each page he looked at. Finally, he slammed them down on the desk. Sarah, he said, this is all nonsense. Nobody can tell you about the future. You don't actually believe this, do you? Don't you believe it? She asked quietly. Of course not. It's not true. None of it. Then you're cheating your customers. Yes, I know, Zoltan said with a smirk. There's a sucker born every minute. You've heard that before, haven't you? That's why I'm a rich man. Besides, we got all the information about palmistry and astrology from the best books. The program isn't cheating. It gives them the best information available. But all of that information is nonsense, Sarah said, standing up. That's it, Zoltan. You're a cheat and a thief. Zoltan smiled. Thank you, he said. Well, I'm not working for you anymore. You can find another palmistry consultant. Maybe ask at the local prison. I'm sure they can find someone for you. She left Zoltan's office and hurried back to her own. She grabbed her coat and walked out into the fresh air. The air outside felt clean and honest. She smiled. She wasn't a palmistry consultant anymore. Now, she thought, I'm going to get a real job. Chapter 6, Havenwood. Sarah left Cyber Prophecy Inc. on March 19th. She quickly found another job as a reporter for the Metro Chronicle, a major newspaper in the city. It was the same job she'd had before she worked for Zoltan. But she never forgot about Leo's computer printouts, and she never forgot about Havenwood. One day, she was talking to her editor at the newspaper and told him about the lifelines. He laughed. Do you believe it, Sarah? He asked. I don't know, but it's interesting. Yes, it is a good story, he agreed. Look, why don't you go to Havenwood? Maybe you can write a story for the paper. Zoltan won't like it, she said. Are you worried about Zoltan Magnus? No. Then go and write the story. Look around Havenwood, talk to people, read their hands. I told you, I can't read hands, she said. You know enough about palmistry. There's a good story here. Write it. Sarah smiled. Okay, I will. I'll go there next week. Sarah arrived in Havenwood by train on Wednesday, September 20th. She took a taxi to the Royal Hotel. As she walked into the lobby, she stopped dead. A short, round man with glasses and very long hair was standing at the front desk, yelling at the young woman behind the counter. Do you know who I am? He shouted. My brother owns the Havenwood Evening Star. I want a room with a bath, and I want it now. But sir, you didn't make a reservation, the girl said timidly. What's your name? Come on, what is it? You're going to lose your job. My brother is a very important man in this town. His face was beet red. Sarah walked over to the desk. Hello, Zoltan, she said calmly. Zoltan spun around. What are you doing here? He demanded. You won't get a room. The hotel's full. Sarah smiled at the girl behind the desk. Sarah Miller, she said, from the Metro Chronicle. I phoned yesterday. Ah, yes, Ms. Miller, the girl said, relieved. A room with a bath. You're in room 437. I have your key right here. Someone will take your bag up for you. Thank you, said Sarah. Zoltan looked furious. Well, I'm not staying here. I'm going to another hotel. A better one. Good, said Sarah. Good night, Zoltan. He stormed out of the hotel. The girl behind the desk was beaming. Enjoy your stay, Ms. Miller, she said. Thank you, Sarah replied. I will. Chapter 7. The final printout. On the morning of September 21st, Leo woke early. He hadn't been able to sleep, plagued by nightmares about Sarah and the computer results. He went downstairs to get the newspaper. It was on the floor with the mail. He picked it up and his blood ran cold. The front page headline of the Metro Chronicle read, "The worst day ever. Nuclear disaster in Havenwood. Thousands feared dead." He read on. At 10:35 yesterday evening, there was a catastrophic explosion at the Havenwood nuclear power station. Thousands of people are presumed dead. The military has closed all roads around Havenwood and there is no news from inside the town. Nobody knows why the power station exploded or how many people have died. Our reporter, Sarah Miller, was in the town at the time of the explosion. The government has asked people to stay in their homes in a 50-mile radius around Havenwood. The president will address the nation on television and radio at 9:00 this morning. Leo dropped the newspaper. He was crying. He went to a closet and took out the box of computer printouts. He stared at them for a long moment. Then he walked over to the telephone. He had to call the Metro Chronicle. He found the phone book and looked for the number 017-113-11676. His finger hovered over the keypad. Then he stopped. He picked up the box of printouts, took them into the backyard, placed them in his barbecue grill, and lit a match. He watched as the numbers and charts, the statistical prophecy of a town's doom, curled into black ash and disappeared into the morning air. He never told anybody about the lifelines.